Good morning, folks. This is Jenn Espinosa-Goswami coming to you live from my page over at Be Weightless. If this is the first time you're seeing me or seeing a video on this page, don't forget to like this page so that you can get even more content like this. Just if you haven't met me before, it's nice to meet you. I am a health coach. I help women find body bliss, no matter what size or weight that looks like for them. I help them enjoy the journey on the way to their best self. And I'm so honored to be able to do this kind of work because I love to work privately with people within group programs. I also offer strategic VIP health days where we strategize and brainstorm and plan around your next 90 days. So those are some of the ways I help people. And I wanted to pop on live on the eve of my event tomorrow. If you haven't seen the things I've been posting, I am presenting for Fashion Meets Poetry, Unleash Your Inner Wonder Woman tomorrow. And an interesting conversation came up with a friend of mine yesterday. So I wanted to kind of dig into that and unpack that a little bit on the eve of me presenting what is perhaps my most inspiring work. So this live is called Imposter Syndrome. And this was inspired by a conversation I was having with a colleague yesterday who is very accomplished, very intelligent, very nice. And I'm not going to say her name because I don't know if she wants to be called out necessarily. But it was interesting because we were chatting a little bit about some of our experiences as entrepreneurs and some of our experiences in terms of finding prospects, offering our services, especially our speaking services. And it came up that she struggles with imposter syndrome. And somehow that kept in the back of my head because I think there's something here. And I think that no one is immune from this idea of feeling like an imposter. In the past, I've spoken a little bit about feeling like a failure, but I think an imposter feels a little bit of a different energy than feeling like a failure. So if you are someone who has ever struggled with imposter syndrome in your own life, whether that's personal or professional, this live video is just for you. Also, I will be sharing more of my thoughts around this idea as part of my presentation tomorrow for Fashion Meets Poetry, Unleash Your Inner Wonder Woman, because there have been times in Wonder Woman's story when she felt like maybe an imposter, and I'm going to juxtapose that with some of the things that make me feel like an imposter. So we're going to dive into that a little bit, and I encourage you to join me. It's tomorrow at 6 p.m. in Minneapolis. So if you're interested, I'll pop the link for that event. I would love to see some friendly faces in the audience and have people join me. I know Thursday nights are a tough time, especially if you have children, but I would very much love to say hi to you in person and get to meet you. So let's talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the belief or the feeling or the inhibition that even though you have accomplished certain things in your life or you have reached a certain level in your life or a certain status, that you do not deserve the recognition or praise that goes with that status. So this is an interesting thing. And I would suspect that very few of you who are watching this, either live or on the replay, do not feel some level of imposter syndrome in some area of your life. If you have never felt this feeling that you are not worthy of where you find yourself in life, then I'd be curious to hear about that. If you've never experienced imposter syndrome, please raise your hand in the comments because I want to talk to you. I want to know more about you. Or even just I want to acknowledge that there are some people who are free from this feeling. This feeling is not a good feeling, and it's basically a way to ignore all of the amazingness and power that you bring to the world. How does this show up for me personally? So you've heard that I'm a health coach. However, I am also an overweight health coach. And what this has created for me are some interesting experiences around being in the health and wellness field when you are not someone who enjoys salad, when you are not someone who looks a certain way, and when you could care less about meeting the norms of the industry. So I've come across some interesting conversations, and I certainly don't feel immune from feeling like an imposter. Even experiences I might have where I know some of my colleagues in the health and wellness arena will release a paper or put a post out there talking about some of their experiences. And when you look a certain way, and that is your expertise, then there's a certain persona that comes with that, right? There's a certain feeling of how can you help people if you haven't even gotten to that point yet? And in the health and wellness field, it's a very image-driven kind of industry, right? It's a very be the role model that you expect others to follow. Be the leader, but do it in a very tangible, physical, you can see what you get kind of experience. And I don't offer that. There are some clients I work with who are thinner than I am. That doesn't mean they're healthier than me. And I know this intellectually, and I know this from all my expertise. I also know that it's difficult for me to feel like I can be entirely supportive of their needs all the time. And here's why I distinguish myself as a health coach. I'm not going to tell anyone, I'm not going to encourage anyone to enjoy eating more kale. I'm not going to encourage anyone to work out 6 times a week, because to me, that's not necessarily healthy. Based on some of the conversations I've had in the field with other experts, some people who are taking their life to that extreme, their lifestyle and their habits to that extreme, are the unhappiest people I've ever met in my life. And they admit it after the fact, when they've had a little bit of reflection and have found a happier balance in their life, that that was not serving them. It certainly wasn't healthy from an emotional standpoint, maybe even from a social standpoint, because there are certain things to fulfill personally to yourself when you have a very demanding and physical expectations of yourself. So in some ways, being the confident woman that I am, I can stand my ground when I'm talking with another health and wellness expert. I can stand my ground and say, yes, I'm a health coach. Yes, I'm overweight. Yes, I don't look like someone who could be on Instagram and posting their 6-pack abs. Yes, that's okay. And yes, I don't serve people who are looking to lose 10 pounds. However, I don't really fit in. And to some extent, that's good, because I'm not supposed to fit in. I'm not designed to fit in. I was never designed to fit in. But that can be challenging. So that can create feelings of imposter syndrome in me. Like, who am I to coach someone on healthy habits if I haven't eaten any vegetables that day? Just being completely honest, there are some days when I don't eat enough vegetables. There are some days I'm eating Chick-fil-A instead of making homemade food. It happens, right? And I'm one of those health coaches who is not going to judge anyone for the choices they make, but I might judge myself a little bit more. So just putting it out there. That's one of the ways that imposter syndrome might show up for me personally. I'd love to hear from you. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. I understand. We can certainly talk privately if that's something you're interested in doing. In what ways or what areas of your life do you feel like an imposter? And it could be as simple as, I feel an imposter as a mom because I feel like I'm not there 100% for my children. I hear this coming up a lot. I used to be a full-time working outside the home mom, and I never felt like an imposter as a mother because my children love me and love me very fiercely. So I know that whether I'm spending all day with them